Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with my Tuesday 3-pack, my 3 favorite plays of the day here for February 26th. Good to be back with you with the 3-packs, missing last week because I got pneumonia. Had a video yesterday on the American League East as I'll be breaking down all 6 MLB divisions here on Mondays as we get closer to the season. Over at BangTheBook.com, lots of great stuff going on right now, including Parker Michaels' daily NHL picks, Kyle Hunter's daily college basketball picks, daily college basketball write-ups from Jonathan Willis and Corey Pabst, also NBA stuff from Alan Moody and Admir Algic, Big Ten Watto rattling off a bunch of outright tennis winners so far this year. He's got a preview up of the 3 events here this week over at BangTheBook.com. I've got a Honda Classic preview for you over there on the golf side of things, and we'll have NASCAR stuff here in the middle of the week to go along with UFC later on in the week as well. So lots of great stuff going on over at BangTheBook.com. Make sure you check it out. Also, make sure you're checking out Bang the Book Radio on a daily basis. Getting to be crunch time in the college basketball world. Conference tournaments beginning next Monday. A lot of smaller conferences beginning next week, and then the week after, all the major conferences. So we'll have you fully covered for the conference tournaments on Bang the Book Radio. Very easy to get those shows and segments. iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and of course you can find the segments right here on our Bang the Book YouTube page. All right, let's take a look at the Tuesday 3-pack here. My 3 favorite plays of the day for February 26th. We start on the college hardwood tonight. 2 plays there in college basketball, 1 play on the ice this evening. The first game, game 6-11, 6-12, Iowa on the road at Ohio State. Ohio State anywhere from a 2.5 to a 3-point favorite. Total on this game of 141. The Buckeyes have to understand that they cannot win an offensive shootout tonight with Iowa. Ohio State's offense, not particularly strong. Not a whole lot of go-to guys in that lineup for Chris Holtmann. Iowa, on the other hand, 7th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're just outside the top 50 in three-point percentage. Fortunately, Ohio State defends the three-point line very well. They're 60th in three-point percentage defense on the season. When you look at what's going on here with Ohio State, Chris Holtmann's a very, very good coach. We know that already. But he's making some adjustments here because he understands that his team just doesn't have the offensive firepower. Over their last several games here, 64 possessions against Maryland, 61 possessions against Northwestern, 63 against Sparty, 67 against Illinois, 59 against Indiana. They're just not pushing the tempo. They're playing a lot of lower possession games relative to what they were doing earlier on in the season. And I would expect that tonight in Columbus, the plan from Holtmann and his team is to try and slow Iowa down a little bit. Iowa averages about 70.9 possessions per game, about 70 possessions per game on the road this season. I would expect them to be under that total here tonight. Probably a game in the 66 to 67 range. When you look at Ohio State defensively, pretty solid defensive team. When you look at them offensively, not so much. Iowa, a decent defensive team, a much better offensive team, but with a slower pace game, with a commitment to defense, I do think that this is a game that stays under the total of 141 tonight. First game was played to 73 possessions, only came out with 134 points. Total tonight, 141. I expect Ohio State to dictate the pace tonight. I expect Ohio State to try and make this game ugly and play good defense. Whether or not Iowa plays good defense remains to be seen, but I do think this game stays under the total, game 6-11, 6-12, between Iowa and Ohio State. We move to the SEC now for my second play of my Tuesday 3-pack. Game 639, 640. Texas A&M on the road against LSU. LSU 11.5-point favorite. Total 151 in this one. LSU off of back-to-back overtime games. They lost at Florida in overtime, bounced back, beat Tennessee in overtime. Texas A&M in the first meeting between these two teams lost in College Station by 15 points. So you've got a road revenge angle here for Texas A&M against an LSU team coming off of back-to-back overtime games. And, A&M, a lot more was expected of this team this season. They are an underachiever. They've got a lot of talent, but they are playing a little bit better here of late, at least 1 point per possession in every game since that loss to LSU, where they lost 72-57. And according to Bart Torvik's game scores as well, 6 of the last 7 games in the 80s for Texas A&M. So they are playing some of their better basketball of the season. Third game in 7 days for LSU, off of those back-to-back overtime games, as I mentioned. Last 7 games for LSU, lost by a point, won by 4 in overtime, won by 5, won by 2, won by 4, lost by 5 in overtime, won by 2 in overtime. So the last 7 games for LSU, all decided by 5 points or fewer. It's very hard to sustain that, very hard to keep that going here over the course of the college basketball season. This looks like a flat spot. This looks like a letdown spot against an A&M team that is a talented underachiever. So we'll take the double digits tonight with Texas A&M, number 639 in rotation order. They're getting 11.5 against LSU. Finally, we transition over to the ice here for the last game of the night. Game 0-1-9-0-2-0. The Florida Panthers on the road taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Coyotes minus 135 favorite. Total of 6 in this one. Florida coming off of an overtime win last night in Colorado. Teams playing a back-to-back off of an overtime game this year. 33-39 straight up. That's 45.8%. They're off of an overtime win. They're 19-23. That's the spot for Florida here tonight. Also, a back-to-back, a long way from home, coming off of an altitude game last night in the Mile High City. That was the first game of a road trip. Usually that game is something of a rallying point for a team, but they want to get that road trip off to a good start. The Coyotes, meanwhile, didn't play last night. They're rested. They're playing well. They're actually in the Western Conference playoff hunt themselves. Florida goes to Vegas after this. They've got a day off tomorrow in Sin City. You know that they're excited about that. A little bit of a break from the norm here over the course of this long season. But I also like tonight, I would expect James Reimer to play for Florida. Now, if it's Roberto Luongo, I may like that even more because Luongo last night had a pretty heavy workload in that overtime victory over Colorado. If it is Reimer tonight, and I do expect that it will be, the Coyotes have a big goaltending advantage. Darcy Kemper, 58.3% quality start percentage on the year. James Reimer, just 26.5%. Kemper, 9.05 goals saved above average. Reimer, minus 7.01 goals saved above average. So the spot sets up for Arizona, and the goaltending matchup, regardless of who plays for Florida, should be in the Coyotes' favor as well. So we'll lay the $1.35 tonight. Take the Arizona Coyotes in pucks. Rotation number is 0-2-0. So with that, the Tuesday 3-pack for tonight here, Iowa, Ohio State, game 6-11, 6-12, under 141. Number 639, Texas A&M, plus 11.5 against LSU. Then finally, number 0-2-0, the Arizona Coyotes, minus 135 against the Florida Panthers. I'm Adam Burke for BangTheBook.com.